honey.
Hey, what are we gonna do today?
Today we're gonna make a big old hole in the van and stick a fan in there.
Yeah, our first van hole. It's a little bit scary, but I think we can do it.
I think so.
Yeah.
We're driving over to a friend's house who has a shop because we live in apartments and we don't have any place to work on the van. But it's a good thing we have friends because we can do stuff while we're there. So we're on the roof of our van and we're gonna cut a big hole in it. Well, 14 by 14 inches in order to install our Maxx Air Fan. And it's gonna go right where Katie's standing right now. Right there. We're gonna notch it out. We're gonna make some marks down below, notch it out, and just plop it in and glue it on. So we're super excited. This is kind of our first step towards making the van livable, because you gotta do all the holes first. So we're gonna cut in the fan vent, and that'll allow us to do all the roof work. And then afterwards we're gonna cut in the windows. That'll allow us to do all the stuff that needs to be done on the walls. And then we'll start building it out. So what I'm doing is I'm trying to figure out a place to position this, and then I'll make sure it's nice and square. We're gonna draw lines and put some holes here so that when we go up to the roof, based on where the holes are, I'll be able to make a hole that's exactly the size of this.
Our first hole.
And a hole in the roof of our van.
Ah!
Oh my gosh.
I'm a little bit nervous.
Oh my gosh. This is it. No turning back.
And it's so interesting because it's like this tiny hole, but it's letting in so much light.
So I pushed these holes from the bottom, and the reason I did them from the bottom is that way, you know, there's a few studs that run across here and they help support the roof. So I don't want to cut into them, but they do offer some nice clean lines over there, whereas up here, you know, it's just, you can't kind of tell where you're at. So I laid out my holes from the bottom, and then I punched them up with just a drill, 1/4-inch drill bit. And now from above, now that I have these holes, I can go ahead and make some lines. And these are the lines that I'm going to use for the jigsaw. I've got my crowbar up here so that once I, you know, cut one side, I can lift it up, and that'll keep this thing from falling down. And then once I'm done, I'll just kind of score the edges so that there's no sharp points. Probably just with this tool, any tool will work. Some people say to use a file, but if you don't have a file, it's like $10, and if you don't need to buy it, you don't need to buy it, right? And I'll just finish up with some touch-up paint. I think I got it on Amazon for like $5 or $10, and that'll just keep it all from rusting. And once that's done, then I'll move on to the next step. So this is at the point where you would file it, but if you don't have a file, like any tool with an edge will work. So you just take your tool and just run it along the edges, and the main point of this is to just kind of knock all the burrs off. I'm going to do it from the top like that, and I'm going to run it from the bottom like that. I'll just go around the whole thing and take care of it. Bottom part of this, so this is the part that's going to touch the metal. So I'm going to put tape around the edges right here. I'm also going to put tape in these channels right here. I'm going to just make sure it's all weatherproof. Even though on top of that we're going to put the sealant, I still want to do this because we're having multiple layers of protection just in case something goes wrong. I'm putting these layers of, I think it's called butyl tape. We'll have it in the link. So here you can see I've built up a layer of like 4 of them. That's just so that when I put this thing on, it's just gonna seal right between. We just don't want any gaps. This will keep any water and moisture from getting in. So the next step afterwards is we'll slip this guy on, and down below here we're gonna install some pieces of wood. So this wood is gonna, we're gonna screw right into the wood, and from there we'll start putting the final glue on. So I'm gonna cut 2 pieces at 13 3/4, and then 2 pieces at about maybe 15 inches, maybe 16. And the reason why 13 3/4 is because my opening is 14 by 14, but if I cut them at exactly 14 inches, then it's going to be really tight there. So I want to give a little bit of slop on each side, about an 1/8 inch on each side, just in case, it's not exactly 14 by 14. And so that I'll have 2 pieces at 13 3/4 and 2 pieces at like 16. So the 2 pieces at 16 will be kind of the outside pieces, so they'll be a little bit longer, and then the 13 3/4 will be inside, between those 2 pieces. One thing I saw is this right here, this 16-inch piece. I should have measured it in advance. I would actually need like a 16.5-inch piece, otherwise my bolt isn't going to be, my screw isn't going to go into the wood. Or even an 18-inch piece would work, it'll stick out just a little bit. I'm going to have to cut some more pieces of wood or make it work somehow, but if you're doing it yourself, just don't make the same mistake I made. Now I have the board underneath, and so I'm just going to take the screws and I'll just screw it down in here. And so I've got these clamps over here that are holding the board up. That way it doesn't move on us, it doesn't slip or anything like that. So what I'm doing is I'm taking my sheet metal screw first and I'm drilling a little pilot hole, taking it out and putting one of these stainless steel screws in, which come with the unit itself. So this is lap sealant. It's what's used in like all the RVs and stuff. The reason it's great is because even after it dries, it kind of still moves around, like it's like rubbery. And so even as the van is driving around and vibrating and doing all that kind of good stuff, the sealant isn't gonna tear through. So one thing I did extra too is I put some more butyl tape inside there, even more than what I layered up, and that's just gonna help protect all that inside there, so that even if the lap sealant doesn't get inside as well, it's still all good. In order to install this, you take this thing and you crank it all the way open, and that'll reveal these holes right here. And those are for the screws to go into. So we're just gonna place it right over the top here, put into place, make sure to tuck the wire in, and it goes down. Now at this point, I'm gonna try my drill. If it's too crazy, then I'll go with the screwdriver. Boom. That's one down. Alright, we're done.
We got our fan. Woo!
The fan is installed.
It's ready to go.
Wow.
Good job.
Good
Took
job.
us how many hours? Probably like 3 altogether.
So we got here around 11, and it's around 2 right now. So about 3 hours of actual work. Yeah, but we did. I mean,
We did some prep work and
yeah,
we
there was definitely some
took our
prep
time.
work, going to the store, getting all the tools, just research time. So like, from beginning to end, we've probably put like, 8 to 10 hours into this. But the actual, like, once you've prepared everything and you've got it all laid out and you're just like going for it, you need about 3 hours of time for it.
And here's our fan. This is what it looks like when it's all done. So we got the manual one, and I believe it has like different speeds, right, Alex?
Yeah.
Yeah, and so like to open it, you do it manually, but it's really nice. So we're excited. This is like our first step.
You ready
Let's
to
go get some food.
Let's do it. All right.